All right. So, before the topic tonight is going to be how to get fired at sea level. But before we get into that, Michael's joined as well. Welcome, Michael. Just an update. I don't know if you saw the email announcement that came out from the tribe, but there's three kind of big things that have happened. So I just want to cover those off, just in case you hadn't seen it. One. There is an email that explains everything, but there's a whole bunch of things that the faculty have been looking at, and one of them is the underlying platform. The faculty aren't happy with Ning as a platform. It's not doing what the faculty wanted, and so just to let you know, the decision has been taken to take a 6-week operational pause or hiatus. So the calls will end at the end of this week. And over that 6-week period, the platform will completely change and it will be relaunched on Monday, October the 5th. So just to let you know, there will be no more calls between the end of this week and October the 5th. Announcements will come out, obviously, to you guys. But the main thing really is access will still be there. You'll still be able to join the Tribe platform. But just to let you know that things will be changing there.
What was the problem with the platform? It just wasn't
flexible enough. There's a whole bunch of things. The way it was allowing people in, the kind of membership that was happening, the process you had to go through, the visibility of, there's like it was a bit of a wall between you're outside or you're inside, and they've looked at it, and they haven't decided definitely, but there is a prime candidate for replacing it. It just wasn't flexible enough. It didn't do what we wanted to do, so the whole thing's going to change. The second one impacts me, so there's going to be a change to the faculty, and there's a lot. It's a tough world out there right now. Very difficult periods of time. Hope you're all safe and your work is good. But as independents, it's all about priorities and trying to rebuild our businesses, etc. And so I'm afraid to say this is my last call. I've had to take the decision to leave the faculty. It was triggered really by they entered this operational pause period. It seemed a logical time to go rather than reappear and then disappear again perhaps later on in the year. So I'm afraid, from my point of view, then this is it. My material, back catalogue, if you like, is going to be on the Tribe site. You all know where I am. I post regularly on LinkedIn, so you can always see when I'm speaking other things. But I'm afraid it's the end of the road for me, and also for John as well. So the faculty will drop down to 4 at this point in time, but I know they're also looking for possibly to grow that again. So that's the second announcement.
Yes, disappointing, Peter, just from our perspective. We really enjoy your talks, and we understand, but it's still disappointing for all of us. You've done a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's all about priorities right now, unfortunately, and this is pretty time consuming, so tough decisions had to be made. And I said that kind of the decision by the faculty to pause and then relaunch is, well, now is the time to go rather than later. Just to wrap up the third one, this was a thing. I know I reached out to a few of you to kind of get some insight into this. The whole Black Lives Matter campaign, etc. It brought into question the name of the tribe. Now, it wasn't overwhelming by any means about what people felt on the faculty, but the balance was really that there could be negative connotations with the tribe. That was a decision of the remaining members, and as a result of that, the community will relaunch, and it will be known as the PM Circle from October onwards. So it will be rebranded and relaunched under the PM Circle. So pretty much everything's going to change. The platform's going to change. The website's going to change. All of that kind of thing. So you will be kept informed as progress goes on. And it's a name. At the end of the day, it's a name. The principles that sit behind it are going to remain exactly the same. So I don't know if you've got any questions on that at all. I'll try and answer them. Nope. Okay. Well, that's the announcement. Let's move on to what we're going to talk about, which is how to get fired at the sea level. And it's based on the book I wrote called How to Get Fired at the Sea Level, Why Mismanaging Change is the Biggest Risk of All. And it's just, I'm just going to touch on a little part of this kind of presentation and the content of the book, just to stimulate some conversation, some thought. I think there's a big thing about this. All came from this thing about why CEOs get fired, which I may have spoken about before. I'm not sure, but there was this piece of research that was done that looked at over 1,000 plus board members across various industries, private, public businesses, healthcare, etc., global, and how they forced their chief executive out over the years. And the result of it, there's a number of reasons these CEOs got fired. And it's all about tolerating low performers, ignoring customers, too much talk, not enough action, denying reality. But the number one thing that came through was that they mismanaged change. They didn't drive or lead change in the right way. And as an organisation, from an organisation's point of view, that is not a good thing at all. So this kind of triggered me thinking about, well, how do you get fired at the sea level? Why do you get fired at the sea level? If you've been successful to get to that point, what is it you're doing wrong? And that led me to think about these two things, like how to get fired at the sea level is the kind of humorous title to the book. But really the book is about how not to get fired at the sea level, the things you should be doing. It's all about being a correctly connected organisation and getting some things right. And I'll start here. This is one of the big things out there. It is, to start with, perception and the lack of data. And this is a great image of the pyramids, Cairo, Egypt. And you look at that and you think that's really nice. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been, but the reality is that the full picture, once you get all of the data, this is actually a photo or picture that's taken from inside Pizza Hut, which, as you can see, is in walking distance to the pyramids themselves. So sometimes I think organizations struggle with lack of insight, lack of data to understand truly what's going on inside their organizations with regard to change. And part of that is understanding their true portfolio value. Now, I'm just using some figures here, and I'm going to use some percentages. I'm going to use some ideas. So, you can challenge this, you can argue it, you can say, is this figure right, is this figure wrong? But I think the principles behind what I'm saying is what I'm trying to get across. So let's just say your portfolio inside your organisation is 20 million. That's 20 million pounds, $20 million, 20 million euros, it doesn't matter, 20 million. And it's not a particularly big portfolio of change, a portfolio of projects. But I'm using 20 million. So this is a starting value, and this is what's often quoted as the belief of the portfolio value. But I don't think it is. Let's say, and again, I'm just picking percentages, but let's say that 20 million of change, or 20 million of projects that's ongoing, let's just say that compliance is 40% of that. This is investment in projects that you have to do because of the industry you're in. Now, obviously, certain industries have higher compliance than others, but I'm using 40% in this case. So 40% of the 20 million is invested in just compliance. So that just leaves the growth level of 60%. So 60% of that portfolio is around growth. Now, why do you do these things? If the return on investment is just getting your money back that you've invested, nobody would do anything in business. So I've taken the cost of impact of compliance as a kind of 2-to-1. So compliance tends to be negative. If you don't do this, the consequences are, you can't trade in certain ways, you might get fined. I mean, worst case scenario is your CEO will be sent to jail, along with some of the other board members perhaps. But let's just say, I'm using a figure, as I said, to demonstrate this. I'm saying there's a 2-to-1 impact. So, for every million you invest in compliance, the consequences of not doing it is probably twice that. And if you look at the value add side of things, the value add of growth is typically 4-to-1. So typically in organizations, you'll find something like this. A business case is put together. That business case is a document to justify the investment. And typically organizations will want to see something like a 4-to-1 return. So you invest $1 million, you expect to get 4 million back, that kind of along those lines. But if you take these figures I said that compliance is 40%, so that's 80 million of the 20 million. Growth is 60%, that's 12 million of the 20 million. If you roll out the 2-to-1 ratio for compliance, that's 16 million. The 4-to-1 on growth, that's 48 million. If you're adding your original starting 20 million, then you could argue your true portfolio value is actually 84 million, because you're investing 20 million to gain something, and the gains can be protecting you from loss or gaining advantage. So really, I think, you know, there's a way of growing your portfolio through these kind of mechanics. And I think there's more than that, because when change happens, there's disruption. And I think disruption is, you know, perhaps 20% of the total of investment. Disruption to the business. Change doesn't happen seamlessly inside organisations. We try, but it isn't that way. And there's also the failure factor. Let's say, you know, the outright failure factor could be 10% of the growth. I mean, failure. Typically, I've seen organisations, the compliance projects are deemed successful because they're really important, because they are keeping the CEO out of jail, perhaps. So it's amazing. They get the resources, they get the time, they get the money, whereas the growth ones are challenged sometimes. So I'm just focusing on failure factor of 10% of the growth component, which, if you take those two figures, increases the portfolio value again. So you could argue, and as I said, you know, these are my figures, but I think the principles are right, that actually your true portfolio value is 105.6 million, which is a massive number, way bigger than the 20 million we started with. Now, why do this? The point, from my point of view, of doing this is, the bigger the number, the more people pay attention and focus on things. And I think that's one of the weaknesses inside organisations, is they have this investment in their portfolio. Some companies don't even understand their portfolio collective value. They look at it as projects and programs, perhaps. But, you know, the bigger the number that you've got, and if you take these sort of calculations, you can create this kind of number. And it's not fanciful creation. I think there's logic and sense behind it. But, you know, if you're talking about, you know, 100 million plus portfolio as opposed to 20 million plus portfolio, then the attention from executives, I think, should be so much higher. That's my belief anyway. And this is important because this is where, you know, you get this kind of C-level interest. And one of the reasons that, you know, CEOs got fired is because they were deemed disinterested in change. They might have, set out the kind of high strategic intentions. They might have set out the roadmap, perhaps. But after that, they kind of just presumed it would happen as if by magic. And the challenge in organisations is sometimes, you know, there's just an allocation and that's it. So a lot of work is done, and most companies I get involved in and look at, the business cases are pretty robust, I would say. There's always some question around the return on investment and the way things have been put together. Yeah, but, you know, in general terms, the business case is pretty robust. But the problem is, that's where it stops. The business case is created, it's signed off, the project is launched, and the business, the high level inside the organisation, it becomes disinterested, disengaged. Or you have the burn model, which again, the business case is robustly put together, the project initiated, and nothing ever stops. It's all about spend, 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 because this project has been undertaken. So away we go. You know, we just keep spending because we need to do this project. Nothing is challenged. Whereas what you really want from C-level is a model of investment. The business case is written, it is approved, the project delivery is overseen, it's managed by, you know, project management professionals, it's supported by great project sponsors, all of the reporting is done, and it delivers the business benefits. It truly does deliver the business benefits, and those business benefits are actually measured rather at the end. In fact, they should be measured throughout the project. You know, are we on the right trajectory to deliver these business benefits as based in the business case? This particular story I like is C-level interest. So this is the power of the C-level and senior people inside the organisation. And this is kind of a story about how sometimes they don't really understand it. But there was an exercise that was done. A CEO was given a magazine, a business magazine, actually not this one. I'm obviously cheated by putting a magazine that I've actually got an article in, but around how to get fired. But they were given a business magazine, and they were told by the people who were sort of, you know, running this kind of evaluation, well, they told the CEO just take the magazine with them wherever they went in each meeting. They didn't have to refer to it. They didn't have to look at it. They didn't have to talk about it. They could answer questions if they were asked questions, but just to carry it in this magazine from meeting to meeting to meeting. And within 2 weeks, something like 80% of the senior executives in that organisation were now subscribing to that magazine. So it's kind of, well, what does that really mean? It means that C-level people in an organisation, the people at the board level and sub-board level and senior executive level, they are highly influential in the way they act, the way they behave, and what they talk about. If that was something that was shown just by carrying a magazine around, then really organisations truly want the C-level people to be truly invested in their projects. And this fits in with everybody else inside the organisation, and it is this kind of connection. Everybody knows this one, I'm sure. Who thinks we need to change? Yeah, we all think we need to change. Who wants change? Well, everybody wants change. Yay! And who wants to change themselves? Well, in that case, I don't need to change. The business needs to change. Other people need to change, but I'm fine. I'm doing good. And so on that basis, the reality is that you need to have that true connection across the organisation, from the C-level to the sponsors, down to the agents of change, down to the end users, the end stakeholders, etc. You need that kind of connection. And you need to overcome this, which is one of the challenges, that when change is happening, people often go through this whole process of trying to avoid change. I've seen it in organizations that have gone through major transformations that, parts of the organization are, they are on the surface, really excited about the change, really on board with the change, but they will use all of these tactics in various stages. They will typically ignore the change that's going on because they want to get on with their day job. They will avoid the change, even when they're challenged on it. They will argue that they're probably too busy to get involved in the change right now. They will probably say things like, yes, this is really important, but right now it's really busy in my department, not time for us to change. Then they will be moved to a position where they actually start talking about, well, the impact of the change and the consideration and the cost of the change, and actually when's the right time to actually start the change. And finally, when they're almost forced into this acceptance, then it's how quickly can it be done, how quickly can we get on with life. And so all of this, I think, is drawing about the fact that the organizations that get this right, the organizations that make this happen, I think they truly invest in change management, organizational change management. I think they truly have executives that understand the investment they're making from the portfolio down. I think they have the right people throughout that process, from executives to project sponsors, to project managers, to change agents, etc. And they have the right model of leadership inside. And so that's a very sort of quick insight into the book itself. I will open it up to questions and discussions. But what I will do, I appreciate you guys coming on. I appreciate you've been pretty loyal attendees of this. So I'm more than happy to send you a PDF copy of the How to Get Fired, the C-level, as my farewell gift to you. But I don't know if does anybody have any thoughts, any comments, any arguments, or anything like that.
So it sounds like that by showing the value is much more than they think it is, that they're going to be on board with making a change.
Yeah. I think I don't know. It's like, I think in organisations sometimes it's like they create some kind of strategic statement, they create the project that goes with it, and they just let it set sail and just assume it will arrive at its destination safe and sound and in time and the rest of it. And more and more I see organisations being quite disconnected in this area, and it's a concern right now as well as we move to this accelerated virtual remote working world, that this could actually get worse before it possibly gets better.
So it's almost a question of ownership. It's like they pass on the ownership to the project person who probably doesn't have the visibility and stuff to get the things done that maybe need to get done.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's partly of it. Let me just stop sharing while I'm doing this. Yeah, I think it is. I think that I'm just going to stop here. There we go. Stop.
Peter, I see the point as when a project is successfully done, then in the well-managed organizations, they're able to do the post-mortem, the lessons learned. But when you're looking at business benefits, sometimes those benefits, depending on the project, they're not immediate, or you don't see the results of the project completion for maybe 3 months or 6 months, or maybe even a longer period of time. So did you find that the successful organizations say, wonderful, we've had the closing party, everybody got the congratulations, but do the successful organizations go back after 6 months or a year and say, okay, the project charter said we were going to have a savings of 18% and all this other stuff, and do they actually critically say, did we achieve 80% of the objectives or 50%, or did we just paper it over and declare it a success?
Yeah, in my experience, it's very, very rare. I've seen an increase in organisations that do a post-project sort of trajectory assessment. In fact, often the PMOs are actually involved in this. So, the business benefits were supposed to be, 3 million over 3 years, etc. Yeah, based on what we know at the end of the project now, on the business where it is, what was actually delivered, the kind of engagement from people, do we still think that, or do we think it's going to deliver 2 million over 2 years or something like that? So I kind of exit project trajectory of business benefits I see as is increasing, but very few organisations I've come across truly go back and look at the the comparison of what was the business benefits originally supposed to be. Because they keep starting new projects, and they start the projects on the assumption that the last projects were successful. So off we go. That's my personal experience. I don't know if anybody else has had something different.
Well, organizations change also. I mean, if things were static, if it was one project and the organization didn't have anything in that intervening 2 years that might have affected it, so I can see the reluctance to do it. But I hadn't heard of the benefits trajectory point of view. I like that idea, at least to say, we thought this 6 months or a year ago. Do we still think we're going to get close?
Yeah, right. Because we have
projects.
Yeah, we have to be honest, because quite a few business cases are quite optimistic in order to be approved, I would say, inside organisations.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I was involved in one. I was setting up a PMO for an organisation, and they're going through a massive change. It's about 50 million investment. And it didn't take long to realise how much double counting was going on, because they were transforming IT, they were transforming HR, they were transforming finances, etc. And I quickly looked at this composite of supposed business benefits. It's like, well, no, you're counting 10 million over here, and you're counting the same 10 million over here for this project. You can't have it twice. And no, and it doesn't run on forever. There is a period of time for business benefits. So they played those kind of political games to themselves, and that's what they wanted to do. Michael, any thoughts? You look like a man who's thinking.
I am. I'm just trying to formulate it into a commentary that makes some sort of sense to us all. I've seen a post lack of benefits review or lack of post benefit review. I think both of those apply a lot. I tend to, when I see change management, what hits me is, how do we get this started? So if there's a business case, great, wonderful. I don't think we should be touching it if there isn't one. But what I really need is that visionary at the beginning, somebody who owns the product that's going to be delivered. And then we can start working the change management with that. Because, as you say, most people say, we love change, but we don't want to do it.
Yeah,
and
quite.
As long as it doesn't impact me, it's okay.
Yeah.
So we've got to get past that hurdle.
Yeah.
And as the project manager, that's my job, is to get them working on the project. And the biggest positive angle I've ever had is that one visionary at the beginning that says, this is what I want to do with this newspaper, or this is where I'm coming from. And the best examples I've had are with two newspaper guys who had a vision of what their newspaper would look like at the end of this. Mm-hmm. And then I had to face all these people who knew better. And we had to bring it back down, and we managed to get it through. It worked. The benefits, maybe we made the $1 million. Maybe we didn't make it. It didn't really matter. But we delivered on what the publisher's vision was.
Yeah.
And that's what I look at from a success point of view. If he can pull off a fiscal number that makes him feel worthwhile at the end of it, then that's a help. But that's not my goal.
No, and it's true. Business benefits can be like that. You can have financial business benefits and non-financial. I was involved in one which was the transformation to digital working. Now they recognise that there will be a financial gain to this by sounds strange now, but at the point it was about not having everybody travel to the office, not the travel expenses, and increased efficiency. That was the hard, there was a hard number against it, but there was also the work-life balance, the ability to people to contribute, in a more flexible, collaborative way. It was about retention of staff, all of that sort of thing. So there was a very non-financial part of the business case as well. So again, it's kind of that's kind of really difficult to actually evaluate, if you like, in some ways, that particular one. But that truly was the vision. There were the financial benefits were kind of a plus, if you like, in creating a business case in that sense.
Yeah, and possibly because I came in as a consultant, the decision for the project has already been made at the portfolio level.
Right.
So I'm not even involved in validating the business case. That's been done.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what the vision is like, and I'll deliver. I like dealing with people and persuading them to do things they weren't planning on doing.
I was involved
None
in
of it
one.
worked for me.
I was involved in one. It was just bizarre. Originally I wasn't allowed to see the business case. It was secret. It's like, really? Apparently some of the numbers in there, and there was, it was a project that was going to impact people, so there was headcount issues, etc. But I wasn't allowed to see the business case. They basically gave me a subset of the business case to work from. So wow, there you go.
You were under disclosure, right? I mean,
yeah. That's kind of great. I don't care. Well,
Now, this discussion reminds me of two acronyms. You were talking about resistance to change.
Mm-hmm.
The first one that came up was NIMBY, which here in the U.S., not in my backyard. When you're talking about changes, let's say, hey, an oil well is fine, but not in my backyard. Or low-cost housing, excellent idea, but and the other one, which was the WIFM, when you're working with people who are resistant to change, or even the project, what's in it for me? So when you're trying to convince people that this is a sound idea, it's beneficial for whatever the myriad of reasons are that are in the business case. Many people, as you said, take change is great, but for everybody but me.
Yes. Well, I always encouraged, when I built PMO teams, my team members, we always used to, make sure they had a high level understanding of organizational change management, not because they were ever involved in OCM, but it was important for them to be able to identify when working with our clients when there was a gap, when this organization change management was missing from the equation. And the trouble with OCM is, typically, any organisation gets involved with this, it ends up with a $1 million price tag from Accenture or someone like that to run OCM, and that scares the clients away. But, I think, by having your team understand the basic principles of organisational change management is important. So, the more that you're aware of as a project manager, the better. Okay, so this is your chance. I mean, we can talk about anything. So this is your chance to tell me you've had enough of me, or you can raise a subject, and I'll do my best to talk about it, or we can have an early night, or entirely up to you.
I don't think there's much more I can add.
Okay.
I'm glad you started this PM Tribe, and I look forward to supporting it as it moves into its circle.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll miss you on that, but I'll find you if I need you.
Yeah, you know me. I'm all over the place, you know. So yes.
I know where you came from.
yeah. You know where I supposedly live based on LinkedIn. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I could be lying. But no, I'll stay in touch. I'm going to send out an email to everybody just to wrap everything up and make sure everybody's got all my contact details, and probably send a couple of links to some events that are coming up in the future. One of the big ones I'm quite pleased about, I must admit. It strokes my ego, but I'm, in the PMO Global Alliance. I'm in the 3 finalists for PMO Influencer of the Year award, and that's going to be in October. So there'll be a whole bunch of presentations and stuff around that. So maybe watch out for that.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
Will that be
good luck on it.
Thank you.
Will that be a virtual conference?
It is a virtual conference, yes. I mean, yes. It was supposed to be in London, which would have been really nice. I could have actually managed to go to that, but no, it's going to be a virtual award. They've moved it to a full week, not 24 hours, but a series of presentations from the various finalists and group calls, etc. So yeah, again, I'll send you a link to that. There's some really interesting stuff. There's all the PMO of the Year finalists, which I find personally pretty interesting, and then the PMO influencers and the PMO Leader of the Year awards as well. So quite a range on that one. But there's a few other things coming up. I mean, obviously, pretty much everything is virtual these days. All of the training and speaking I'm doing is virtual based. So again, it's for me, it's always primarily posted out there on LinkedIn. So just check it out.
Let me ask you a question about that photograph over your left shoulder. Is that somewhere in the Middle East?
Oh, that's my boys. Yeah, the 3 boys. That was in Dubai. Yeah, we went after the dunes and did the dune in the.
You did the dune buggy rides?
Yeah, and also got the sort of surfboard thing out to go down the dunes on. So yeah, kind of crazy. Yeah. Actually good, because I'm sitting here and it's like, it's about 33 degrees here today, so it's pretty hot. But yeah, that was significantly warmer there after an hour in the desert. Goodness me. Yes, that was pretty hot. Yeah. I remember they take a Land Rover or a Toyota Land Cruiser or something and go flying up the side of a dune, and then you come down the face. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. At one point, they got me to go out and stand at the bottom, and they basically drove over me. It's like crazy. It was to one side, but I got some good pictures, but it was pretty scary. Like, it just disappeared, and then suddenly roared over again. But I do remember, we were in a Toyota because the guy said Toyota's the best, the Land Cruiser. He said, they laugh at the Humvees that people seem to want to hire, but actually, good as they are, maybe they ain't good on the sand. Nowhere near. They were on the small dunes. This thing was going up the really big stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing like sliding sideways in a Land Cruiser down the sand dune.
Yes. And of course you're not in control. You're sitting either in the passenger seat or in the back, and you're thinking, you're hoping that the guy who's got the wheels turn correctly so you slide and not flip and roll.
Yeah. And it was also one of those places that on the way back we stopped to fill up with fuel, and the filling of the tank was less expensive than buying water for everybody. There's no tax. So,
well, in Dubai it was more expensive than Saudi Arabia. I mean, I remember in Saudi buying gas for, a liter was 30 halala, and that's when that was about 8 cents US a liter, so 35 cents a gallon or something like that. Of course, that was years ago. It's quadrupled since then, and it may go up more because they're in budget troubles.
Yeah, quite. Well, we just laugh at that in the UK here. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous, but it's it's mostly tax. That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I do appreciate your time. Thank you for turning up for the sessions. I will be in contact. I'll send you a copy of the book, and stay safe and stay in touch.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
All right,
thanks. We're connected on LinkedIn. Take care.
Yeah, perfect. See you guys. Thanks.